Hello, Fish Faithful. This is Marlins Daily on the Fan Arch Network. I am Kurt Semder. And the immortal words of the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes, what do you want to talk about? Because the Marlins had the day off yesterday, and, not a lot of news and notes, a quiet day from the team, which is welcome considering we just are a week removed from the trade deadline. Things were a lot crazier just a week ago. And as we sit here now, getting ready for the next series, the Marlins have one big issue that needs to be addressed, and that is who's going to play first base. Kyle Stowers is out with a hamstring injury. Still not sure, as we are recording this, how long he's going to be out, what the severity of that injury is. But you can pretty much expect that he's going to miss some time. He took himself right out of the game after that injury on Sunday, running the bases, running back to first base. He's going to be out for a little while, and that's going to hurt this team offensively, that's for sure. Stowers, as we mentioned, was really starting to pick it up. He was coming on. He was kind of returning almost to his all-star form of a year ago, and now his bat is going to be missing from the lineup. And offensively, I think they have several different options where they can replace that production. But, the thing to remember here is the Marlins still need somebody to play first base. That's a big thing. First base is not easy. I'm reminded of, the scene in Moneyball, when Brad Pitt's character is trying to convince Chris Pratt, saying Sean Hatterberg of first base, anybody can play first base. It's incredibly easy. And the, coach portraying, I believe, Ron Washington next to him says it is not easy. It is difficult. It is incredibly difficult playing first base. So you can't just throw anybody over there. So you start to look at some of the candidates, and we talked a little bit about this yesterday. Agustin Ramirez is an interesting choice as a possibility, but the more I think about it, the more I think the Marlins are going to just focus on him behind the plate. He really needs to focus his energies there if they think he's going to be one of their catching options going forward. He also needs to focus on getting his bat going, so DH seems like more a possibility for him. Leo Jimenez kind of plays a lot of different positions for this team. He's the guy who stepped in when Kyle went down on Sunday. We didn't mention Griffin Conine, and I think he might be the short-term solution here. He played as many games at first base in his career as Leo has, and that's 2. So we all know there's a pedigree there. I mean, Jeff was pretty good. But the fact of the matter is, when we talk about first base and we talk about, getting the most out of position, if you're going to play somebody at first base who's only played 2 games there, Griff's got the better bat than Leo does. So that might be the short-term solution there. And what that would allow Clayton McCullough to do is you can then kind of play Owen Casey, move him back to the outfield into right field, providing that leg injury is fully healed. And that allows you to kind of move some other guys around. Or you can keep him at DH if you want. Estuary Ruiz is an option there in the outfield. You obviously can move Javier Sanoja around. It kind of frees up a lot of different options. I think, though, if Stowers is going to be out for an extended period of time, if he's going to miss 2 weeks to, longer, a month, something to that degree, I think Jonathan Long is the best choice. I think Long, a player who the Marlins just acquired from the Cubs for Braxton Garrett at the trade deadline. He is in the minors. He's at AAA right now in Jacksonville. We talked about the other 2 guys who we'd mentioned that played 2 games each at first base. Well, Jonathan Long has played 269 games at first base in the minor leagues, 73 games at first base in college. He knows how to play the position. Through 5 games in Jacksonville, he is hitting .385, 7 runs scored. Still hasn't popped his first home run in Jacksonville, but through nearly 100 games for the Iowa Cubs this season in AAA, he hit 12 home runs, has 62 RBI, and was hitting .283. I think this guy is worth giving a shot right now. What do you have to lose? You can call him up. You can put him into the lineup. You don't have to put him in a spot where he needs to really be Kyle Stowers. He just needs to be somewhat productive. We're looking for one for four, two for four, get a hit, get a key hit here, play a solid first base. You're not putting him in a big pressure spot. I think he's your best choice right now. Now, will the Marlins call him up? I'm not sure. Like I said, they do have a couple of options on the major league roster right now as it speaks. But Long definitely could be someone who the Marlins could consider to play first base, or at least give him an extended look at first base if Stowers is out. I'm sure we'll get an update from the team prior to tonight's game against the Pirates and let us know exactly the extent of Kyle Stowers' injury and who's going to be out. But we will keep an eye out to see who is in the lineup tonight and who's playing first base when the Marlins take on the Pittsburgh Pirates. Now, talking about the lineup here and talking about who's going to be in the lineup tonight, Clayton McCullough has the luxury of using a lot of different lineups because he's got a lot of players who can play multiple positions. We did just mention first base seems to be a bit of an issue, but you have a lot of guys who can play, infield and outfield, or catcher DH, or third base right. You know what I mean? They got a lot of versatility on this lineup. And what that tends to do sometimes is allow you to play for matchups, give guys days off, give guys rest. And we've seen on certain days that the Marlins not necessarily put out their best lineup, or they just put out a lineup that makes you scratch your head. So I started trying to think about, who the best lineup would be for this team going forward, because I feel like right now in this playoff race and in a situation where you want to put your best team out there as often as you can, I think that they need to settle into at least a more, not permanent, but more standard lineup, and have the same guys more or less be out there almost every day when possible. It starts at the top. I think Otto Lopez has to be hitting leadoff right now. Yes, I know he drives in runs, he gets big hits. The luxury of having him batting there in the 3 spot has been really helpful for this team, but I think you need somebody to set the pace, and I think somebody, especially with speed at the top of the lineup, is a way to go. I like Otto leading off right now. You can leave X at the 2nd spot and playing second base, of course. 3rd and 4th, I think you can alternate back and forth. Personally, I like Heriberto Hernandez hitting 3rd, but I think when you see the rest of the lineup here, you may want to bat Griffin Conine 3rd to go a little lefty-righty-lefty, because then Owen Casey, I feel like, should bat 5th in the lineup as it currently stands with who you have available. Griffin Conine's been coming on really well lately. He's been coming on strong. And with Kyle Stowers out, he's going to be one of the guys that you're going to need to step up. If you put him batting 3rd, he also can, has a better chance of getting on base ahead of somebody like Hernandez, who has a more of a strictly power stroke, whereas Conine kind of can drive the ball to the gap and get on base with a double. After Casey, things get interesting for this lineup. Joe Mack has really established himself as the team's everyday catcher, and I think he is your 6th hitter right now based on the options that are available. Batting 7th, that's where I would put Jonathan Long at first base. I think that's a good spot for him in this lineup. You put him in there. He's, like I said, not a lot of pressure in that situation, and he can produce some runs from that spot or start another rally. I will reluctantly keep Jacob Marcy in the lineup for now in center field, just because I don't feel like, with all the injuries and everything going on, I just don't think they have a better option at the moment. And then I like, Javier Sanoja batting 9th works out really well for this team more often than not. I would not have a problem if you moved him up in the lineup. If you moved him up to 6th and you moved everybody else down a spot, perfectly fine with me. Depending on how he's going, he has those stretches where he's knocking out 2 hits a game, 3 hits a game. He's in one of those stretches right now. He also has other stretches where it doesn't tend to be the case. I do like him at the bottom of the lineup just for the speed factor too, because it allows him to get on base, turn the lineup over, and then you've got Otto and X and the power hitters coming up behind him. That should be this Marlins lineup, some configuration, I think, of those 9 guys going forward. I think that gives them the best chance to win. I think that gives them the best opportunity to be successful against some of the better teams that they're going to be playing here over the next couple of weeks. So let me know what you think in the comments. I'm curious what you think about this team's lineup and if there's a better solution, if there's a better player available you think. Notice I did not mention Agustin Ramirez. I don't have him in that lineup just yet. But you know what? A couple of good games, and why not? I like him at DH, especially if you're going to play Griffin Conine at first base. If you're going to put Conine at first base, then Ramirez definitely becomes your best DH option. So, love to know what you think about what you think the Marlins' best lineup is. I also would love to know your thoughts on the next topic we're going to discuss, which is Sandy Alcantara. We have talked about him now for weeks. Marlins fans, we have enjoyed and appreciated everything that he has done through his career with this team. And as he continues to break records this season, innings pitched, strikeouts, he's going to get the wins record. The question then becomes, is he the best Marlins pitcher ever? And I started thinking about it. And I think that you can make a better case for him as the best Marlins pitcher ever than you can against it. Not just for the career marks that he's gotten. Only Cy Young winner in the franchise's history. The longevity, the consistency, the durability. I mean, you don't just pitch those innings by accident. You have to stay healthy, and he has stayed healthy for the most part. Yes, he's had his extended stretches where he has been less than stellar, where he has struggled mightily, but he comes back. And he carries this team on his back when they need him to. He has done it on more than one occasion, and the numbers speak for themselves, as I mentioned. Who else would be in the running? Just a couple of guys you'd think about on this franchise's history. You know, Josh Johnson comes to mind, the team's franchise leader in the ERA, and he just has been really had some really great years there. In the late 2000s. I always think of the D-Train, Dontrell Willis, just for a short term. I mean, he was really good, and he's maybe one of the better known pitchers in Marlins history. I don't know if he's the best they've ever had, but I got to at least mention him. Same goes for Livan Hernandez, who is beloved here in South Florida for obvious reasons, and what he's been able to do. Ricky Nolasco, again, the longevity. He really put up some great innings, some great seasons, a consistent career. I don't know if anybody would refer to him as the best ever, but the numbers are there for him. Kevin Brown in the postseason, helping this team to winning their championship, gave them that veteran presence, and he is somebody who you have to have in the conversation. I think where it gets tricky is where you bring up Jose Fernandez and what could have been. Jose Fernandez was just on track to have one of the, if not the best Marlins pitching career ever. The way he was going, the numbers were sensational. He was emotional. He was a fan favorite. And he was on track to be one of this franchise's legends before his untimely death in 2016, which I remember well because it happened the day after my wedding. So I remember where I was when I found out about it and what took place going forward. It'll be 10 years this fall. So obviously a career and a life cut too short. But you look at the track he was on and you wonder two things about Jose Fernandez. And I know this is about Sandy, but I'm just going to mention this about Jose. You think of two things. One, would he have been able to sustain and keep that career going? I say that there really was no reason to think he wouldn't, the way things were going. He was really on his game. The other thing, though, is would he have continued to pitch for the Marlins? That I'm not so sure about. He falls right into that time frame in that area where once his contract was up and once money became an issue, would he have been traded? Would he have not re-signed? Would he have gone somewhere else? He loved playing here, but I think he would have ended up somewhere else, which would have broken a lot of fans' hearts. But that's where Sandy is different in the sense that Sandy has been here for 8 years, and they've had multiple opportunities to trade him. They've had multiple opportunities to not have him back on this team, but they love him. They bring him back, and he has just stepped up. I think he is the team's best pitcher ever right now. I'd love to know what you think in the comments, though. Let me know what you think if you feel that way. Some of the other guys I mentioned here, if you have another name out there, maybe it's one of the relievers, Rob Nen, Armando Benitez, you name it. We could go through left and right. But I think Sandy has put together a career that will be remembered by Marlins fans for years to come. And he's not done yet. So that's the other thing to remember. He probably will be back next year unless the team for some reason doesn't pick up that club option. Wouldn't that be something? That would certainly be a surprising but very Marlins-like move if that were to happen in the offseason as we head into what will be a very questionable and very interesting 2027 season if there is one. And where we don't know what there'll be a 2027 season, we do know there will be baseball tonight. Marlins will be hosting the Pirates, first of 3 games at Lone Depot Park. Marlins got to keep this going. They got those last 2 wins against the Angels. A chance here to really put the Pirates behind them. Pittsburgh has really struggled as of late. Got trounced by the Mets. They are treading water right now, sitting about 3 games under 500, and they're about 3 games behind the Marlins in the standings. So what you want here is to not let them get back into it. Now, unfortunately, this game tonight, while we do have Yuri Perez on the mound, and he's been pitching great, got to feel good about that. Pirates are countering with Paul Skeens, and he, despite his recent struggles, is still one of the elite pitchers in baseball. And he can go out there and shut you down for 9 innings, and no one would be surprised. So, bit of a challenge for the team tonight. You hope that the bats will continue, and the off day did not cool them down. They can kind of keep going and pick up where they left off over the weekend, where we mentioned they had double-digit hits in every game, scoring 12 runs on Sunday in that win. If they can get this win in this first one, the pitching matchups are pretty favorable for them going forward. Jansen Junk going to pitch against, we don't know who yet, on Wednesday. Tyler Phillips and Braxton Ashcraft, a bit of a toss-up on Thursday afternoon. But I think this is a series and a good test for the Marlins here because we mentioned they've been playing a lot of those teams ahead of them in the standings. This is a team that's kind of directly behind them and a chance to really make a mark, make a statement in the wild card race, and put a team further back behind them, further back behind some other teams, and kind of focus on some of the teams ahead of them and start making their way forward there before they hit the road. So big series for the Marlins starting again, and big series beginning tonight. We'll see if the Marlins can get this win under their belts. We're going to find out more about Kyle Stowers today, and we will find out who is on first for the Marlins. We will discuss the game and, of course, what's going to happen with this team going forward. All that and more on Marlins Daily tomorrow. I will see you then. Have a great day, everybody.